Hello, GC365. I am Blake. I'm one of the graphic designers here. It's been a while since I've been on here. I've missed you guys, missed all your faces. I'm here today with
Ethan, his younger brother.
Ethan, my younger brother. I love this dude. I really care about this guy, and I'm super happy to have him on here because I think he has a lot to say on just faith and spirituality, and I really appreciate how he's gotten to learn that for himself. So this is I'm really happy he's on here, and maybe you'll get to see him with some other folks too. But today we're reading through Nehemiah, or continuing in Nehemiah, Psalms, Corinthians, Proverbs, the usual. And starting off, we get to see Nehemiah rebuilding the wall, that because he was concerned for Jerusalem. A little bit of context, and he's like, I want to rebuild this. I am concerned about Jerusalem, and I want to do that for them. What were some of your initial thoughts?
I thought it was kind of cool how that in Nehemiah there was people trying to attack them while they were building the wall,
Yeah.
and that they kept on going no matter what, even though some families were kind of upset during it.
Mm-hmm. Totally. It reminds me of, I'm doing this rebrand right now,
Yep.
very well,
Mhm.
for a coffee shop in the Mill Creek Town Center called Spotted Cow. By now, the rebrand has happened. But in this process, there's a lot of feedback that we're going to be getting from the public, and this coffee shop has been here for 10 years. We have to accept the fact that some people are going to be upset that we're changing. Like, change just isn't fun.
Mhm.
And I really find it a parallel with this scripture from Nehemiah, and the way that he postures his heart and the way that he holds himself and holds his faith strong in this, that there are people super upset with him building the wall, and they're literally going to attack him for it.
Yes.
But like, what does he have to like remind himself of to keep going in that?
That he has to remind himself of like God's promises that he made, and to be good to him, and that good will come to you, basically.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool that he just stuck to his faith, because that's really hard for some of us to do that.
Yeah, totally. In this, there's a lot of sacrifices that are being made to make it happen too. And Nehemiah 5 goes into that, where a lot of families
Are getting like scared and angry that they have to sacrifice a lot of their crops,
Right.
and even their children.
Yeah,
Which is kind of crazy to think about.
it's insane. And I really like in that he was like, why we can't just keep repaying these people? Like, how long can we just apologize for what is happening instead of like actually doing something about it?
Yeah.
And I think in these sort of projects where there's a lot of like, there's like a rebuilding of sort,
Yeah.
you're going to have a lot of internal conflict, and that's usually how it'll fall apart, as opposed to like outside conflict. Corinthians, what are your thoughts on that? We got to talk about marriage.
That I thought it was kind of interesting that they were kind of saying that they had to, like, they were telling people to like not marry, or if they're not married already, or not unmarry if they're already married.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of because that we have like not as much self-control and stuff. And
I'm curious.
I was a little curious that why he was telling these couples and singled ones that,
Yeah.
because it's kind of interesting to think about. It's like nowadays a lot of people are getting divorced, or people are getting married at super young or super old.
Mm-hmm.
And that was interesting.
Yeah, it's a huge part of life that we see. I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
Our parents are divorced and remarried though, and super thankful for that.
Yeah.
What is what sort of thoughts have come to you through that and like living in that life?
I'm very grateful to have, like, I think of it as like I have multiple dads, like 2 dads and 2 moms, and I'm very grateful for that because they're very giving to us, even though we put them through some tough stuff.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Oh, I agree. I think even if those sort of things happen, where in Corinthians we're being told a lot to like, okay, don't remarry, or like you should be single if you leave your spouse. You should just remain single if it was ungodly to leave them. But we have to see that God will still like use those moments to create a better like plan for our lives. Yeah, 2 dads. We got more siblings. Shout out to all of them siblings. That's a lot of fun. I did like verse 38 where it says, so the person who marries his fiance does well, and the person who doesn't marry does even better. I think we see this even this is a good reminder even for just regular relationships, where if it's better not to fully commit if you're having doubts. The moment that you're married, like that's like it just hurts even more if you do split, obviously, but also like it's not fair to the other person. I don't know if you've had any like experiences like that.
Haven't.
Okay. Psalms. What were your thoughts on Psalms?
It was more like, it was like God was reminding the people of what good he does if you follow his commandments and the rules and the promises he gives you. And he just reminds you of that. So it's like when you follow those, he's telling you that good will come to you, basically. Oh, you can say something. No.
Yeah, I didn't have much on the Psalms, but the verse 8, when he's saying, I will guide you along the best pathway for your life. I'll advise you and watch over you. I really do believe this. Living a faithful life, God will open so many doors. And I really do believe that. I think that when we see an opportunity that seems like too good to be true, and it's like, what? How could I? Like, that's crazy. I couldn't take this, but I really see it as like
it's truthful. It's definitely true.
Like a God-given thing. So that was cool. In that Proverbs,
it's like God's telling them how much easier their life could be if they follow him, and have faith in him, and just trust in him. And it's basically, it's like saying don't be selfish, because if you are, then it says some things. It basically tells you, God tells you what would happen if you are selfish and what could come to you. But I didn't get too much from Proverbs.
That's okay. I'm curious, when I ask you, and that was kind of the end of our GC, but figured I'd take this time with my brother we're given this opportunity to have a podcast with each other. But I'm just curious, like, what goes through your mind when I ask you to do this with me, and like what parts make you nervous and things like that?
I was kind of nervous just because sometimes I think that my faith isn't as strong, and so it kind of scares me, but that's not the point of it. In the end, it's just talking about God. So I think that's really good.
I really admire that. I admire that you still came on because of that. Because I think when we compare ourselves with each other, that's when we start to defeat ourselves. So that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. And this has been day 2024 or 224. This has been Blake Belchan, one of the designers. Ethan, stay up to date. Follow us on social medias, Gold Creek Church, wherever you find that. Thank you guys for listening. Bye.
Bye.